After completing my 10th class exams in 1979, my father suggested that I go and help my father's uncle and learn astrology. Mathematics being my favorite subject, I learned the calculations. My grandfather taught me how to calculate the inclinations of each planet and how to calculate the lagna and the meridian center MC, and he gave me some birth charts to draw. Thus, I learned how to draw the birth charts first and showed interest in predictions. So, my grandfather told me some predictions, some of the tips that he usually uses for predictions, and after learning those tips, I documented some of them. I verified with my father. While my father and my grandfather have laid the foundation for me to get interested in astrology for almost a decade or 2 decades, I didn't show any interest. Welcome to Sastry Karra's astrological series. This is the series which I would like today to emphasize more on the role of Rahu in Natu's chart and in the Natu's life. In this series, this is exclusively I'm doing different type of analysis based upon natal Rahu's position in the birth charts, and also I'm trying to do some sort of analysis based upon the transit Rahu and its impact on the birth chart. This in the first one, what I'm trying to do in this presentation is to considering Rahu in the 12th house. 12th house is a peculiar house for in the Natu's chart. 12th house deals with a lot of things, as I'm going to show it in the screen very soon. In my next in the presentation, I'm going to explain to you what does the 12th house deals with. Basically, at a higher level, you can say that 12th house deals with imprisonment, hospitalization, unexpected expenditures, pleasures of bed, and sometimes it also deals with foreign travels or from settling in a foreign land. So when Rahu is in the 12th house, the natal Rahu I'm talking about, when natal Rahu is in the 12th house, something that's pertinent to one of these characters is sure to happen. Generally, what happens is that when Rahu is in any house, the house where the natal Rahu resides, when I meant by natal Rahu, I mean to say that the Rahu at the time of the birth. When natal Rahu, in whichever house Rahu resides, that house characteristics, and the 7th house from natal Rahu's position where Ketu is residing, that house characteristics. So both those two houses characteristics will become very dynamic in the Natu's life. So for example, in my natal, I'll take the chart of my own. In my chart, natal Rahu is residing in the 10th house. 10th house deals with career, so the career is very dynamic. There will be a lot of ups and downs in my career during my whole lifetime. And now from the 10th house, the 7th house from the 10th house is the 4th house. 10 11 12 1 2 3 4, the 4th house. 4th house deals with mother, Sukhasthanam or home life environment, properties, vehicles, and basic education. So for me, the career there are lots of ups and downs in career because Rahu is in the 10th house. Now Rahu is looking at the 4th house, so there were property, there's ups and downs in the property, vehicles, ups and downs in usage of vehicles, And then basic education, had a lot of troubles in basic education. Home life environment is always chaotic or dynamic. So this is what is sure to happen depending upon the natives' other planetary situations. This one with Rahu in the 12th house, generally this is, as I said, the 12th house and the 7th house from 12th house is the 6th house. So 12th house and the 6th house are the ones that are very dynamic in general. But if Rahu is co-joined with any other planet, irrespective of what the planet is, the impact will not only on the house where Rahu resides and the 7th house from natal Rahu's residence, but also there will be some sort of a noticeable impact on the houses that is owned by the planet that is co-joined with Rahu. For example, in my chart, natal Rahu is co-joined with natal Venus, and Venus is the 2nd and 9th house lord. So 2nd house lord is Kutumbasthanamo and Dhanasthanamo, 9th house lord is Bhagyasthanamo. So there will be some sort of ups and downs when it comes to Dhanasthanamo and Bhagyasthanamo, and some sorts of ups and downs when it comes to Kutumbasthanamo. This is how you have to predict. So in this presentation, with the Rahu in the 12th house, I have taken two unique conditions, and this is specifically for the female natives only. And I'm trying to show that if Rahu is in the 12th house and has co-joined with Jupiter or Venus, Jupiter is the Karaka for marriage for women, and Venus is the natural 7th house Karaka. So if Rahu has co-joined with Jupiter or Venus in the 12th house, then the possibility for that female native is very high to remain unmarried. That's the first rule that's which I'm going to prove with examples. The second one is, again, Rahu in the 12th house and Saturn and Mars is also with Rahu. That means there are three planets in the 12th house: Rahu, Saturn and Mars. If all the three planets are there in the 12th house and the native is a female, again the chances are very high for the native to remain unmarried. So this is this is a series of presentations I'm going to put it on in this, specifically emphasizing Rahu, and then this is the first one. And let me show the example for these two rules with what happens if Rahu is in a 12th house and is not alone. And let me go ahead and put you more in detail about the characteristics of the 12th house first, and then see what can be done. So now let's go and look at the role of the 12th house. 12th house is called the Vyayasthanamo and Moksha Bhava or Moksha Sthanamo. So the characteristics, generally for any house, there are three types of characteristics. The first one is the general characteristics, that is pertaining to the life in general, and the second one is specifically to marital relationships, like once the native gets married, what type of events can we see from that particular house. So it is called marital relationship characteristics. And the third one is the medical characteristics. So the 12th house, when you look at that medical characteristics, for the 12th house we look at the sleep disorders, mental imbalance, hospitalization and death. Since the 12th house is called Moksha Sthanamo, that's the reason why you see the the hospitalization and death. 12th house is also called as the place of cure, which is nothing but hospitalization. When you go for the marital relationships, the 12th house is considered for pleasures of bed. 11th house is the Kamasthanamo, that's where the desires get initiated, and the 12th house, the house next to the 11th house, is the 12th house, and 12th house is the place where they are being fulfilled. So that is why for the 12th house we look for pleasures of bed when it comes to marital relationships. Apart from these two, in general, there's a lot of things that you can look at when it comes to the 12th house. The most important thing that you can say is, apart from the two said earlier, settling in a foreign land is possible, travel to a foreign land is possible, and mental anguish is possible, and unexpected expenditures is possible. So overall, since this particular presentation is specifically for Rahu's role in the 12th house, when it combined with Jupiter or Venus, I am going to consider only the marital relationships part of this, of the 12th house, and which is nothing but the pleasures of bed. So let's go and see like what are the rules in this particular presentation. Let me explain you the rules first, and then I will go and explain more in detail about the each particular chart. Now that let me go back and explain you the one rule that I am going to talk about in this presentation. The rule states that when Rahu is co-joined with Jupiter or Venus in the 12th house from Rashi Lagna and the native is a female. First of all, what you have to see is that when you see the chart, make sure that the native is a female, and second thing is from Rashi Lagna, is Rahu in the 12th house? And then comes the question is Rahu co-joined with Jupiter or Venus? Jupiter is the Karaka for marriage for women, and Venus is the natural 7th house lord. So when you see these three conditions, if you notice that these three conditions are true, then there is a high possibility for that native to remain unmarried. Let me repeat that. If Rahu is in the 12th house from Rashi Lagna, if Rahu is co-joined with Jupiter or Venus and the native is a female, then there is a high possibility for that particular native to remain unmarried. Here for the first rule, where that means Rahu is co-joined with Jupiter, the natural Karaka for marriage for women. So let's go and look at the first example. Here what you see is the native was born on 22nd November 1987, and if you look at it, the Lagna is Mesha Lagna, Lagnadipati is Mars, and Mars is residing in the 7th house from Rashi Lagna. That's fine, but when you go and look at the 12th house from Rashi Lagna, 12th house lord is Jupiter. Jupiter is residing in its own house, and Jupiter is co-joined with Rahu. So our conditions has been satisfied for this particular native. The condition is that from Rashi Lagna, Rahu should be in the 12th house, Rahu should be co-joined with Jupiter, and the native should be a female. Now that we have seen all these things, let's go and see what is the status of this particular native. For this particular native, as of now, in the sense, I think 6 months ago, the last time I got the chart, she was still unmarried. That means until June 2017 the native was unmarried. So let's go further down and see the Behuru Chakra Paddhati more in detail and figure it out what could be the reason. For this particular female native, if you look at the Behuru Chakra Paddhati, the 23rd year started, the 23rd birthday is in November 2010, and it went all the way till November 2011. That's when Mercury is in the 12th house. Remember, we are talking about the 12th house. So when Mercury is in the 12th house, that means Mercury is Mercury will activate the 12th house from Rashi Lagna. Let's see who is Mercury. Mercury is the 6th house lord residing in the 7th house. Mercury is also the 3rd house lord. So Mercury being neither has no way relation with the most important houses pertaining to marital life. So when Mercury activates the 12th house from Rashi Lagna, it's the Rahu and Jupiter, they get activated. Because Rahu is there in the 12th house with Jupiter, the chances are minimal for the native to get married during that period. Then comes the important house, cycle ruler is Venus. Venus is in the 8th house co-joined with Sun, Moon and Saturn. So Venus and the relationship between Venus and Saturn is very good, so we don't need to worry about it. But because Venus is in the 8th house, we got to have a second thought about that. Now let's go and look at the 12th house. Is there any way the 12th house get activated? The 12th house, first of all, the Venus activates the 7th house from its natal position. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have to, from Venus, when Venus activates the 5th house from its natal position, that it means it activates the 12th house from Rashi Lagna. So let's go and see when does Venus activate the 5th house from its natal position. That is between November 2015 and 2016. And look, until November 2016, it's clear that the Venus, even Venus could not help the native to get married. So now the last thing that we have is to make sure that is there a way that Venus can activate the 12th house from Rashi Lagna, that is in 2022 November through 2023 November, when the native is 35 years old. If you look at the Vimsottari Dasa, Venus Mahadasa is running. See, in Bihuru Chakrapadati, the cycle ruler is Venus, and in Vimsottari Dasa, the Mahadasa is also Venus, and the Antardasa, Saturn, started in January 2018 onwards. So let's go and see what happens with this Saturn residing in the 8th house and the transit Saturn in the 9th house. It just looks at the 11th house. From 9th house it looks at the 11th house. So there is no chance for it. But when you look at the last one, the Venus Pratyantara Dasa, which is into 2019 February till 2019 September, Venus Pratyantara Dasa is running. So go back to Bihuru Chakrapadati and see in 2019 February till 2019 September, what is it? Venus is going to activate the 8th house from Rashi Lagna. That means where it is residing, and also it activates the 8th house from its natal position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is the 3rd house, the house that is owned by Mercury. So either of the way, Venus is not going to support this particular native to get married all the way until 2023. This is the second example for Rahu and Jupiter combination in the 12th house. The information that I got it's from Astro Data Bank. You can see the link below. Her name is Amanda Boxtel. She is an Australian American sports woman. And what happened was that she has been paralyzed from hips all the way down since she was 34 years old. Got married on 17th August 1991, and their marriage lasted hardly for 24 hours. So you can consider that the female is unmarried. It's just lasted for 24 hours, so it doesn't matter. So we can say that the female is unmarried since all the way till the age of 34. Now that we know about this Amanda Boxtel, let's go and look at her birth chart. According to the birth details provided in Astro Data Bank, she was born on 15th December 1957. So the Lagna is Scorpio. Lagnadipati is Mars, and Mars is residing in the Lagna, and Saturn, the 3rd and 4th house Lord Saturn, is residing in Lagna, and 12th house is Libra, and Jupiter and Rahu are residing in 12th house. So when you look at the 12th house, Rahu residing in the 12th house indicates that it is going to have a direct aspect on the 6th house, which is owned by Mars. So Rahu in the 12th house is sure to have some sort of a disturbances, not only in the 12th house but also in the 6th house. Now comes the role of Jupiter. Here Jupiter is a 2nd house Lord, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. 2nd and 5th house Lord. 2nd house Lord, when you look from the marital relationships, 2nd house Lord is Kutumbasthanadipati and 5th house is Putrasthanadipati. That means Jupiter residing in the 12th house, because it co-joined with Rahu, the possibility for the Jupiter Jupiter got afflicted, that so indicating that the 2nd and the 5th house roles of Jupiter, whatever it is supposed to produce, the results of 2nd house and 5th house will be nullified because it got co-joined with Rahu. That's the reason why you see that the native got married, because of this Jupiter being the 2nd and 5th house Lord, but since it joined with Rahu, the marriage immediately got nullified. Let's go and look at the Bihuru Chakra Paddhati for the same native, Amanda Boxtel. Remember I told that she got married in August 1991. So let's go to Bihuru Chakra Paddhati and look at in August 1991 who the cycle ruler we know is Venus for sure. And so in August 1991, the house from Rashi Lagna is 10th house. So two things will happen. From Rashi Lagna, Venus activates the 10th house, which is the house owned by Sun, and Sun is residing in the Lagna. So, and Sun has nothing to do with this. And the second one is from Venus, from its natal position, it activates the 10th house. Natal Venus is in the 3rd house, so it activates the 12th house, which is the 10th house from its natal position, and see who is there in the 12th house. 12th house is Rahu and Jupiter. So when Venus has activated the 12th house, Jupiter, being the 2nd and 5th house lord, has made the native to get married. Because Rahu, it has co-joined with Rahu, and that too in the 12th house, and they both are having a direct aspect on the 6th house, it should result into divorce or widowism. It's one of those two. And for this particular native, it hardly lasted for 24 hours and they got separated. Let us now go to the same rule, second part of the first rule, number 1. The first part says that when Rahu is co-joined with Jupiter in the 12th house and the native is a female, then the chances are very high for the native to remain unmarried. The second part of the same rule is that if Rahu is co-joined with Venus, Venus is the natural 7th house lord, and if they both are co-joined in the 12th house, again in the 12th house, and the native is a female, then the chances are very high for the native to remain unmarried. So in the next few examples, what I'm going to do is to show the charts where Rahu and Venus are in the 12th house from Rashi Lagna and the native is a female, and explain how this particular combination has made the native to remain unmarried. Okay, now that we had seen the first rule, second part definition, which states that when Rahu is in the 12th house and is co-joined with Venus and the female is a native, then the chances for that female to remain unmarried is very high. Let's go back and let's start analyzing that particular rule with a few examples. This is a female who was born in 1990 in India, and if you look at it, the Lagna is Aquarius and the Lagnadipati is Saturn. Saturn is in the 11th house. So from 11th house, the Lagnadipati is looking at its own house. The 12th house lord is also Saturn, and in first of all, in first house you see Sun and Moon joined together, where Sun is the 7th house lord and Sun is the bitter enemy for Saturn. So the Lagnadipati is looking at its own house, and where the 7th house lord Sun and his bitter enemies, 7th house lord is Sun and is the bitter enemy to Saturn, is again staying in the first house. That's the first weakness that you see from here. The second one is, let's go and look at analyze the rule. The rule states that since Rahu is in the 12th house owned by Saturn, and along with Rahu is Mercury and Venus, let's go and look what is the status of Venus. Venus is the lord of the 4th house and 9th houses. The 4th house is Sukhasthanamo or family, home life environment, and the 9th house is Dharmasthanamo. So with Venus, the Dharmasthanadipati and Sukhasthanadipati residing in the 12th house co-joined with Rahu, it clearly tells you that for this particular native, whatever the 12th house deals with pleasures of bed, and that is the home life environment. So the home life environment and is lacking along with the pleasures of bed. So this is what we can say when we look at this particular chart. Let's now look at a little bit deeper for the same native, the female who was born in 1990 in India. If you look at it, the 12th house, so let's see who is that. We know that in 12th house we have Venus, Mercury and Rahu. If you generally look at the age, the appropriate age for marriage, usually it starts after once the native completes the 24th birthday. That's when Venus will be the cycle ruler, and it goes all the way till the native completes the 37th birthday, which is the until the native completes the 36th birthday, which is 12 years. So for 12 years Venus is the cycle ruler, and now we know that Venus is in the 12th house. That is a very good point. And Venus is the lord of the 4th and 9th house. That's another positive thing for this Netu. Unfortunately, the Venus is now is co-joined with Rahu. So Rahu, wherever he sits it, he creates some sort of a dynamic environment. Here it is in the 12th house. So Rahu creates a dynamic environment in the 12th house. When you look at the marital life, 12th house deals with the pleasures of bed. So, and Rahu is co-joined with the 4th and 9th house lord. So the dynamic, the instability is very high in the 4th house, which is the Sukhasthanamu, and 9th house, which is the Dharmasthanamu. Now that when we look at the Bihurgu Chakra Paddhati, we know that as of now, that is 2017 February, until 2017 February, the Netu was not married. So between 2017 February and 2018 February, Venus, the cycle ruler, activates the 4th house. Remember, the 4th house is the house owned by Venus itself. So it is activating the 4th house until February 2018, and Rahu is still co-joined with him, and Saturn is still in the 11th house, and Saturn and Mars are having a direct aspect on the 5th house where Jupiter is residing. So having said that, the chances for this Netu to get married is minimal until during between 2017 and 2018 of February. So when you go and look at the all the way till Venus activating the 7th house, that is from 2020 February till 2021 February, Venus activates the 7th house, and Sun, who is residing in the 1st house, is having a direct aspect on the 7th house. So there is that possibility is very high when it comes to marriage for this particular Netu. So when you look at it at that time, the Netu is going through Saturn Mahadasa, that is the 1st and 12th house lord Mahadasa, and then Jupiter Antardasa. So Jupiter, who is the 11th house lord and the 2nd house lord, and a Karaka for marriage for women. So that particular period is something we can say that the possibility is high for this particular Netu to get married. Accidentally, if the Netu gets married before February 2018, then I would say that the chance is during this 2021 February 2021 there will be some sort of a marital discord during that particular period. Since I don't know much about this particular Netu, and the Netu is too young and unmarried as of now, I don't want to go more in detail and make the Netu scared of what might happen. This is the another example for the second part of the first rule. That means when Rahu and Venus are co-joined in the 12th house, the chances, and the Netu is a female, the chances for that particular Netu to get married is minimal. And here, this is the information that I got it from Astro Data Bank. So the Netu is Cristiana Singara, in an Italian news figure, and there was a big rumor that a baby boy was born in 1986, and that is out of wedlock, and the possible biological father is the famous Argentinian soccer player Maradona. We don't know exactly what happened, but let's try to see what is the tip. Is there then the Netu is not married as of now too. So let's go and see what could be the reason for this from an astrological perspective. Okay, now let's go and analyze Christiana's birth chart. She was born in 1964, and as per the Astro Data Bank, she was unmarried as of, when was the last time it got updated, I don't know, but she had a baby out of marriage wedlock. So let's go and see what's the astrological reason for this. First and foremost, the Lagna. The Lagna is Cancer. Lagnadipati is Moon, Karaka. So just go and look at how is the Karaka doing. The Karaka is Moon residing in the house owned by Mars, co-joined with Mars Jupiter, Sun and Mercury. Now let's do one at a time. Mercury is the 12th house lord. So Matra Karaka is co-joined with the 12th house lord. That's a very good sign. Jupiter is the 8th, 7, 6, 5, 5th and 8th house lord. So Jupiter is now here is functional. Sorry, 5th, 9, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oh, the 6th and 9th house lord Jupiter. Jupiter is the 6th and 9th house lord. So 6th house is Dushtana. Because it is from Moon, it is the 6th house lord. That means it is a lord Dushtana. So Moon is co-joined with the lord of Dushtana. That's number one. One weakness. Then Sun is the 2nd house lord from Rashi Lagna. So Moon is co-joined with the 12th house lord. Moon is co-joined with the 2nd house lord. And Moon is co-joined with the 10th house lord. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10th and 5th house lord is Mars. So if you keep Jupiter aside, Moon is in a very good position, co-joined with good planets. The 12th house lord, the 2nd house lord and the 5th house lord. Up to that point everything was fine. Now Moon has co-joined with Jupiter, who is the 6th house lord, the Dushtana house lord. So the Lagnadipati got a little bit afflicted. That tells you that this particular native, the Moon, the mind is been a little bit afflicted here. Now go and look at our rule of 12th house. Rahu and Venus are residing in the 12th house. Venus is the lord of the 4th house. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th and 11th house lord. 4th house is Sukhasthanam and 11th house is house of desires or Kamasthanam. So Venus is the owner of Kamasthanadipati, is residing in 12th house, which is the pleasures of bed. Unfortunately it co-joined with Rahu. So we already knew that the Moon is being spoiled, a little bit afflicted, and now the Kamasthanadipati is residing in the pleasures of house, the pleasures of bed, the 12th house, but unfortunately it co-joined with Rahu. So you can say that as usual the native will be unmarried, but because the Kamasthanadipati is joined with Rahu, a malefic, and residing in the 12th house, that's the reason why this particular native had a baby out of wedlock. That means getting pregnant without being married. We have seen how why from astrological perspective why this native was unmarried and what could be the astrological reason, astrological justification why the native had a baby out of wedlock. Now that we have done that part of it, let's go and look at the Bhiru Chakra Paddhati and the Vimsottari Dasa and see what could be the reason for that to happen. We know that the baby was born somewhere in 1986. So let's first go and see. Venus Mahadasa, Venus as a cycle ruler in Bihuri Chakra Paddhati started in May 1988 and it went all the way till May 2000. That's 12 years. So the baby was born in before the Venus Mahadasa Venus cycle ruler started. That is 1986. That is when she was 21, 22 years old. So the question comes is, what could be the reason for this Venus not to initiate the ability to get married? When you look at it, because Venus is the 4th and 11th house lord, we can, and Venus is also the 2nd house lord from Chandra Lagna, so you can say that Venus is in a very good position to activate any of the important houses according to Bihuru Chakra Paddhati and make the need to get married. Since it is joined with Rahu and that too in the 12th house, Venus couldn't do anything at this point. They are looking directly at the 6th house from Rashi Lagna. So when Rahu is in the 12th house and it is looking at the 6th house is house of separations. That means a divorcee, getting divorced or becoming a widow or something similar to that. So because of that particular reason, I can clearly say that this need to remain unmarried just because of this reason. Now let's go and look at the Vimshottari Dasa. The Vimshottari Dasa, if you look at it, the baby was born in 1986 and at that time the Mahadasa is a Venus. Look, Venus is the Kamasthanadipati residing in the 12th house, the pleasures of bed, and conjoined with Rahu. So something that is against the society is sure to happen, that's related to pleasures of bed and the Kamasthana, house of desires. And 4th, and the fourth house lord, being the fourth house lord, it is dealing with home life, environment. So there it goes. The chances for the native to give birth to a baby is during the Venus Mahadasa. After the Venus Mahadasa, you got the Sun and Moon Mahadasa, and the native was not married at all during the Sun and Moon Mahadasa. So you see, the Sun and Moon, they both are in the 10th house from Rashi Lagna. And as I said earlier, the reason is with Jupiter being the 6th house lord from Rashi Lagna, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Mercury being the 6th house lord from Chandra Lagna. That means either of the way, the Shtana house is co-joined with Moon. That's the reason why, even though when the Moon, Rahu, Sun Mahadasa and Moon Mahadasa came, the native was not able to get married. Let's now look at another example for the same rule. That means Rahu and Venus residing in the 12th house, and the female is a native. This lady name is Tracy Emin. She is unmarried as of now. That is what, according to Astro Data Bank, she is unmarried. She is a British citizen, and she wrote a book saying that in 1997 she wrote a book saying that from 1963 all the way till 1995 she has given the list of all the men with whom she slept. That means she had illegal marital affairs, extramarital affairs, and she is an unmarried woman. So let's go and look at in detail her birth chart to find out what is the reason for her to remain unmarried. We know that Rahu and Venus are there in the 12th house. Remember, the 12th house is the house of pleasures of bed, and when Rahu is residing in the pleasures of bed, the chances to have something against the social norm when it comes to the pleasures of bed is sure to happen. And now that you have Venus is the natural 7th house lord, and there you go. Let's start looking at the birth chart of this lady Emin Tracy. She's a British citizen born in 1963, and when we start looking at the Lagna, that's where we started. The Lagnadipati is Moon. The Matra Karaka Moon is the Lagnadipati. Wow. So we rush and go and see where is Moon. Where is Moon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Moon is in the 5th house from Rashi Lagna. That's the first thing. And the owner of that house is Mars. Mars is a natural violent planet. And when you look at it, Mars is residing in the 7th house from Rashi Lagna, and its 4th aspect is on its own house where Lagnadipati is residing. Now, Moon is residing in the house owned by Mars, and Mars is looking at its own house where Moon is residing. So that tells you that the Lagnadipati had co-joined with had the Moon, Lagnadipati and Moon, Matrakaraka and Mind Moon, all the three had some violent impact due to Mars because of the affliction of Mars. Now let's go and look at the 12th house, because that's what we are analyzing here. In the 12th house lord is Mercury. Mercury is residing in its own house. The 12th house lord is residing in its own house. That's a very good sign for females. And Sun is the 2nd house lord, is residing in 12th house. That's another good sign. Venus, the 11th and the 4th house lord. Oh gosh. 11th house is Kamasthana Adipati, and the 4th house Sukhasthana Adipati. So Venus is residing in the 12th house. That's a very good sign. Until this point, the 12th house is perfect. And when you look from Moon, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th house, Ashtamasthanamo. So from Moon, the 12th house is the Ashtamasthanamo, and Ashtamasthanadipati Mercury is residing there. So mentally, from Moon perspective, it clearly tells you that the pleasures of bed is completely pertaining to secret dealings or secret is only through secret dealings or secret affairs. There you go. And now with Rahu residing there, that has become against the social norm. That's the one primary reason why when you see the natives history, she herself has mentioned in her book that all the way from 1963 till 1995, that is approximately 30 to 32 years of age, until she attained 32 years old, she has slept with almost most of the men. That means she had a number of illegal affairs or secret affairs pertaining to 12th house, which is the pleasures of bed. And since Rahu is co-joined with Venus, and Venus is the Kamasthana-adhipati, the pleasures of bed has got further strengthened. And because Rahu is there, those pleasures of bed has been something that is against the social norm. This is against the social norm even in a Western country. As I said in the introduction part, for this particular native, the native has said that she slept with a number of men all the way until 1995. So let's go and look at the Beharu Chakra Paddhati. For this particular native, starting 1987 all the way till 1999, those 12 years, 87 through 99, those 12 years, Venus is the cycle ruler, and we know that Venus residing in the 12th house, being the Kamasthana-adhipati and co-joined with Rahu, it just messed up everything. It will mess up everything, and that's clearly known. Now let's go and look at why did she stop in 1995. That's the time where she stopped it. So that's according to her. By June 1995, Venus activating the 8th house. 8th house is secret affairs and secret dealings. And when you look at it from Rashi Lagna, the 8th house is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8th house lord is Saturn. And from Chandra Lagna, sorry, not from Chandra Lagna, because from Venus natal position, the 8th house lord is again Saturn. So whether you look from the Rashi Lagna or from the natal position of Venus, the 8th house lord is Saturn. And Saturn, that's the reason why she just all the way up to 1995, all the things that had happened has stopped once that particular part is done. And she revealed everything in 1997 when Venus activated the 10th house. The 10th house is the house owned by Mars, residing in the second house, Dhanasthanamu, and it has revealed everything at that particular part. And when you look from the natal position of Venus, 12, 11, the 10th house lord is Jupiter, which is nothing but the 9th house from Rashi Lagna. So Dharmasthana Adhipati too has come out, and all the secret affairs, secret dealings that the native had it all the way until 1995 was revealed. You can see clearly how Venus has played such a vital role, and because it has co-joined with Rahu, and that too in the 12th house, and Venus being the 11th house lord, you can see how things, the particular native life has been impacted. Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope that it's clear through my explanation and with the examples. It is clear that when the rule that I want to emphasize, the rule states that when Rahu is in 12th house and is co-joined with Jupiter or Venus, and the native is a female, then the chances are very high for that particular native to remain unmarried. What I noticed through the examples is that when Rahu is co-joined with Venus and in the 12th house, not only that the native is a female, not only that the native remains unmarried, but there are very high chances for that particular native, female native, to have some secret illegal affairs or secret dealings or something pertaining to the pleasures of bed, and something that is against the social norm in that particular era, in that particular society, whichever the country the native is born and brought up. So I hope that this particular combination will be helpful for you to analyze when you see any particular any charts. So you can keep in mind that when you see Rahu in the 12th house and is co-joined with any other planet, I hope you will give a second thought and consider what the presentation that I have done right now, and do the predictions accordingly. Keep in mind, if you come across any of this particular combination for any females, males or females, please let me know, and I will try to analyze and see how far is this rule strong, how strong is this rule. Okay, thank you very much.